Hey y'all, it's Desiree and I'm back with another video, and for this video, God is needing you to know that He is not bringing you mess. And this is going to be a word for those who have been promised kingdom marriage. God is needing you to understand that you are not walking into a project, you are walking into an assignment. The enemy is trying to get a lot of you to think that you're walking into a project. And this word is going to be directed to my sisters in Christ. God truly needs you to understand what you are stepping into. And I feel that for a lot of us at this time, the enemy is really trying to get us to stick to these old narratives that we've seen regarding marriage. You know, whether it be in our own households growing up, whether it be, what's been shown on TV and music. But God is saying that it's so imperative, it's so important that you truly let go of what you've been taught up to this point, because the enemy wants you to feel like you're stepping into something that's faulty, and God needs you to know that you're stepping into a sure thing. God has not been sitting around prepping you, pruning you, and getting you ready to walk into something that's faulty, that's going to fail, that's not perfected. He needs you to understand that no, this man is not going to be perfect, but this marriage is going to be perfected. It's so easy for us to trust God for things when they don't include anybody else. If God promised you a car, once you see that car, you're not going to try to take it to the mechanic. You're not going to try to do a walk around and make sure all four tires is on that vehicle. You're not going to try to check and make sure it's a steering wheel in there. If God promised you an apartment, if God promised you a house, you're not going to walk into that new place expecting to see something out of place. You're not going to walk in there expecting to see something that shouldn't be. You're not going to expect what God is bringing you to be faulty, because after all, it's God, right? That's bringing you this thing. But when God starts putting other people involved, all of a sudden we start to think that it's room for things to get faulty. But God needs you to understand, no, this man is not perfect, but this marriage that He has promised you has been perfected. God does not want you walking into this marriage thinking that at any time, that at any moment, you're going to get heartbroken, that you're going to be disrespected, that your kindness is going to be taken for granted, that your trust is going to be broken. And the enemy is deluding you into believing that it's you, that it's you just being cautious, that it's you just being intentional with your heart, that it's you just being mindful of what has happened to you in the past and not wanting to see a repeat. But it's not you. It's not you being cautious. It's not you protecting yourself. It's fear. It's anxiety. It's worry. The enemy is trying to draw fear surrounding what God has promised you. He's trying to cause anxiety surrounding what God has promised you, because how can you fully step into that thing clear-headed and clear in heart with all of these preconceived ideas, with all of these irrational fears? Because to think that God is bringing you into kingdom marriage with a man who is not prepared is an irrational fear. To be walking into kingdom marriage thinking that the man that God has promised you is going to cheat on you, is going to disrespect you, is an irrational fear. God is not bringing you a fool. We're used to people devaluing our worth. We're used to feeling unloved. We're used to feeling unheard. So much so that we've fallen for the narrative. It's not true. It's a lie. It was never that you were unworthy. It's that those who were around you were not able to see your worth. It was never that you were unloved. It's that those who were around you did not have love to give, did not have the love to offer, did not have the love of Christ, weren't purposed to love you. And I feel like the enemy also wants to keep our perspective on marriage small. He wants us to only think of, I love you, you love me, and we got kids together, and we stay together, and we go to church every Sunday. Not no kingdom marriage. All this business, all this purpose, these assignments, God sending you out, God leading you out. Ain't no time for no petty problems at home. Ain't no time for no little boy, little girl problems at home. A lot of us are used to being the one to uplift. A lot of us uplifted our fathers. A lot of us felt emotionally responsible over our own fathers. For a lot of us, our fathers were projects. But this is a man of God, a man who serves the Lord with his whole life, God ain't sending you anybody, and he sure not sending you a fool. God not sending you somebody who gonna play with you, cause they don't play with God. Yeah, you cute and all, he gonna like you and all, but you don't have no heaven and hell to put him in. He's responsible to you because he's responsible to God. The enemy will make you think that he just gonna roll over and be in the next woman's bed. How quickly do you roll over into the bed of another God? It's so important that we understand our importance. It's so important that we understand our worth. It's truly important that we know what God has put in us as women, as wives. So we first have the confidence to show up in marriage, to even take on the assignment of marriage. But it's also important that we understand our worth so we can stand against the lies of the enemy. So we can stand against the lies of that unworthy spirit. That spirit telling you, well, he's a man and he's going to be tempted and he's going to be full of lust, is a lie. It's the spirit of unworthiness. That spirit that's coming and telling you, well, people wake up and change their mind every day, is the spirit of unworthiness. That spirit that says, yeah, he might be a man of God, but I'm going to make sure that I sleep with one eye open, is the spirit of unworthiness. Because you hold something that that man cannot find anywhere else. And he can know that all day, but it's a must that you know that. It's a must that you understand that. And in order to understand that, you have to truly know who it is that you are as a woman, who it is that you are as a wife. Because you're not going to find the same woman twice. You're not going to find the same wife twice. Because one thing about it, time and time again, God puts it on my heart. His sons are in need of their wives. These are not men who just want to go lay down with any and everybody. These are not men who just looking for a good time. These are men who are looking to be nurtured, who are looking to be loved on, who need to be poured back into, and not just by anybody, by the vessel that God has ordained. These are men who understand it's only one woman that God has purposed for me, and I need her. And when I get her, God is sending you a man whose mind is made up about you. He not still trying to figure it out. He not going to be looking at you at the corner of his eye, sizing you up. He knows what he wants. He knows what he's stepping into. He knows what he needs. And yeah, he might be impressed with you. Yeah, it may be some things that he see that he really likes about you, some attributes that he really loves. But ultimately, what's going to seal the deal for him is the stamp of approval that the Lord gives. It makes me a little sad, to think that so many women who have been pressed in such hard situations, who have truly served the Lord, who have truly kept themselves at the Lord's feet, who have truly found joy in the Lord, have simultaneously been beaten down in ways that makes them think that at any given moment they're going to be hurt again. They're going to be bruised again. Women who have went so unprotected, only finding protection in the Most High, that they now fight with their life to protect themselves. But God needs you to know that you are safe with this man. You are kept safe with this man. And I just keep on hearing safe box. And I see so many women walking up to men with their dukes up, and they don't know what to think, they don't know what to feel. It's just like, look, just in case. And I see the man that God has promised them standing there with their arms wide open, like, what's wrong? Chill, like everything is okay. And God needs you to understand, it's a must that you let your guard down. It's a must that you change your perspective, that you truly submit yourself to that promise, that you be willing to walk into it blindly, in the same sense that you would anything else that God calls you to, fully trusting him, fully standing on faith that what he brought you is a sure thing, is a good thing. This is not something that you could just play around with. This is not something that's like, well, I'd rather just be single, well, I don't really feel like doing all of that right now. You could just give me a couple more years and then we could. No, because this is not just about you and how you feel and what you open to and what you ready for. There's another child of God standing on the other side of this promise. who needs the same restoration, who needs the same healing, who needs to be poured back into at the same capacity, who needs you to be the piece to the war in their minds. You're not the only one who needs to be protected. You're not the only one who needs to be cared for. You're not the only one who needs to be nurtured. And let me also say this. You're not the only one that's afraid. Because just like y'all, some of y'all husbands to be right now are in God's face talking about, I hope she loyal. I hope she ready. I hope she got her mind made up. Because it's not a game. They're not looking to play. They don't have time to play. These are not men who are just sitting back twiddling their fingers trying to figure out what to do, trying to get something going about something. No. If God has been prepping you, if God has been pruning you, if God has been making sure that you are clean and spotless in preparation for what He's taking you into, rest assured that it's not just you. Do you really think that God is going to waste His time getting you ready for a man that He know ain't ready? Do you really think that God is going to waste His time getting you prepared for a man who is unprepared? Do you really think that God is going to position one of His daughters to stand next to a fool? And God needs you to understand that it's hurtful to Him. It's hurtful to Him to hear you second guessing whether or not what He brings you will be faulty. It's hurtful to Him to know that you think that He would bring you something that would intentionally hurt you. And again, this is not a perfect man, but this is a marriage that the Lord has perfected. He might have had issues with lust in the past. You might have had issues with lust in the past. Lust not coming into that marriage. Not when there's souls connected to this marriage. Not when there's purpose connected to this marriage. Not when there's assignments connected to this marriage. It ain't just about you. It ain't just about him. It ain't just about y'all. Understand that there is a great responsibility that comes with marriage. God is entrusting you to the intimate spaces of His child, one whom He loves, adores. God watches over us from the womb. If this man cheat on you, it's a problem. If you can't figure out how to keep control of your mouth, it's a problem. If you think that you're going to be able to run away from an argument and handle confrontation how you handled it with Pookie, it's a problem. I think a lot of us need to stop worrying about what that man gonna do. Think about what you might do. Don't let toxicity make you think that you little Miss Perfect. Listen, you ain't perfect, but this marriage is gonna be perfected. It's a must that you walk in the kingdom marriage in full faith and in full trust so that there can be perfect harmony, and therefore the perfect will of our Father can be accomplished. You can trust this man. You can depend on this man. You can honor this man. You can respect this man because you can trust the one who sent him.